Hi everyone, a warm welcome back to the MEC-TEC garage. And as you can see, after the antics with the Regal van last week, we're back on Poirot again. We need to finish off the welding on it, so we're going to carry on where we left off in the last video, get that outer panel on the sill, and then carry on to those two little front holes on the front there, and then we're going to need to look at the other side, back sill, just in the same area as this side, to see obviously what's going on with that, because it is starting to crack where it looks like it's been repaired before. I have no idea what's underneath it, so that's going to be interesting. So we'll see what horrors lie beneath on that side and get that side all solid as well. The inside of the sill on the other side looks to be okay. It is rusty as far as surface rust, but it's not gone, because that's what I used the template off, as you saw, to do this side. So hopefully we won't have too much more to do on it. But we need to crack on with this corner first, get this corner finished off, and then we can carry on around the car. Let's carry on. Okay, as you can see, I've got my little fan heater on because it is a little bit chilly in the garage now. I've had a big tidy up after the Regal van was in here again, so we're all clearer than we were before, in fact. And I've started doing some prep work on this outer panel. As you can see there, I've got all the holes drilled for the plug welds all the way around on the end there as well. And I've just welded up the inner piece here. Hang on, let me move the light so you can see. The inner piece here, which had the slits already cut in it from when I bought it, that obviously needed welding up, so I've welded that up, so that's solid now. And now we can start getting this panel fitted. I have had to take a little shaving off of this edge just to bring the edge up slightly, because it was a little bit overlapping. And also on the bottom of this panel, you can see it's got those drains, the shapes in the panels there. I had to actually slot those out slightly because they were hitting the drains on the other inner panel, if that makes sense. So to get it to sit nice and flat, I've just notched them out, and that will sit like that now. As you can see, I've got the edge nice at the top there. It's all sitting flat underneath for the plug welds to go through, and obviously the plug welds up the side, and then it'll leave a seam there like it should have, which I can then wipe some sealer into to obviously seal it up and make sure it's not going to go rusty, and that will look as factory as it possibly can on that side of things. And then after that's all fitted in, I've got to make a piece up for that section there, which is obviously the last bit on this side. So let's get set up with some welding, and hopefully we'll get this out a bit welded on. Let's carry on. Okay, as you would have seen from that bit of time lapse there, that is now all plug welded all the way around. I haven't touched those welds yet, that is just how they came out. So they obviously would all be dressed back flat. We've got the nice edge down here, as I said before, so that's a nice straight edge. And I did it with the, if you saw in the time lapse, I had the air gun in the air compressor, which was obviously cooling the metal down as I went, so that nothing got distorted, hopefully. Now the first 3 tacks that I did on the top here, that one I'm not very happy with. It is this main part of the quarter panel is sitting very slightly proud of this panel, so I'm just going to buzz that one off and just re-weld that one so that the panel is very slightly further back. The other 2 are okay, so that is going to be the next job. I'm going to go along here and work my way along and obviously cool it down as I go, so as I don't get too much distortion, and get all that welded in, and then it should be onto this last little bit. Lovely jubbly. Rightio, there we go, fully welded on. That is as it is, I've not touched it yet. So next job is to clean these all up with a grinder, with a flappy wheel, and see what we're left with. I'll come back to you in a minute. And there we have it, one welded seal. Ground all the way along here, got a fairly straight line, so that's pretty good. Ground down all the plug welds, they're nice and smooth now. All the ones under here are all done and nice and smooth. And I've done the ones in here as well. Now unfortunately I've got a couple of holes there because the gas has just run out on the welder, so I need to go and get some more gas, and then I'll just re-weld over the top of that to make that smooth and then buzz it back. But that is all on there, lovely and strong, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the way that's come out. So I'm going to start making a template up for this now, get this panel made, and I have to go and get some more welding gas. Let's carry on. Okay, I've made up the last panel for this to go in there. I'm going to weld that in on this funny shaped side, and then I'm going to actually form it round the arch, and I've got 2 holes pre-drilled to plug weld it onto the inner arch there. So in fact I'm going to dress it into shape, and I've left it purposely long so that I can cut it the right shape once it's all welded in through, so it lines up with the arch either side. So that is going to be that bit. Also under here I've now completely sealed up all the welds with some seam. Let me take that clamp off. Completely sealed up all the welds with some seam sealer, and it's had etch primer on it as well. So that is all ready for stone chip, same as in there. That's had some seam sealer in it as well, and is ready for, hang on, I'm trying not to get bars on the screen, can't see it all that well, but yeah, that's all seam sealed in there as well, so that's all nice and sealed up. So I'm going to get some primer on that as well, and some stone chip on there. But I want to obviously finish the panel work first, so I'm going to get this bit welded in, and then maybe start on a little bit of filler work on here. I can get the back side stone chipped because obviously that side of it's done now, so, and then we can start on the front. Let's carry on. There we go, panel's all welded in, seam welded right around the edge here and along the bottom here, and obviously up the sides, and it's got 2 plug welds, one there and one there. I think that's come out pretty nice, to be fair. So it was a piece of panel that I made up. It's all flushed in nice, so now we are ready for some filler work. But before I do that, I think I'm going to try and get the bit on the front end done. So let's get under there and have a little prod around and see what's what up that end, and see what we need to do. I'll come back to you when I'm under there. remember that little hole that I had on this side? Well, that's what it's ended up being like after I prodded and poked it. Now I did try and start strengthening it with a bit of weld, but it just kept blowing everywhere. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a square out there so we're back to good metal again, and weld a piece in, because there's no point in bodging it. Might as well do it the best I can while I'm here. There are two panels that overlap here, so what I may do is actually overlap the panel on the back of this one and either flush it onto the edge of this where I cut it, or overlap it onto the back of that slightly, just to give it a bit of extra strength and make it a little bit easier to weld, because obviously when you're welding older metal it doesn't always take as nice. So if you've got a piece of new metal, effectively just only a couple of mil behind it, just so that there's not a bare edge as such, it does give you a lot stronger weld and it'll weld nicer. So that's what I think I'm going to do with that. And obviously then once that's done, I can get that sealed up and stone chipped along with the back. What I may do is I may get the car moved round, do the all welding on the other side, and then I'll get it sort of a bit more in the middle, and I can get all the stone chipping and whatever done in one go then. So that's going to be the plan of attack. So I'm going to get this cut out and then I'll come back to you. Okay, as you can see, that's the bit I've cut out, and this is the panel I've made up to go in there. Same thickness steel, pretty thick lumpy stuff this, so it should be pretty strong once it's done. That's going to slot up inside there. I'm going to get a magnet and hold it in place, and I'm going to get all that welded in. We shouldn't have to worry about any distortion under here because it is thick metal and obviously you don't see it as well. So I'm just going to crack on and get this welded in, and then we'll be on to the other side. Woo! There we go, all welded in and ground down. I won't say it's my finest work because it is very difficult to weld upside down and with not very good metal around it, or old metal around it I should say, but it's solid, so should do the job. Just to prove to you it's solid, get me hammer. There you go. That's solid. So get a bit of seam sealer over that now, just to obviously seal up any pinholes that may be in it, because there probably will be, and then we can get some stone chip over that when we do the rest of it. Let's carry on. Okay, I changed my mind yet again on what to do next. As you can see, that's all sealed up there now. I've etch primed it and sealed it, and if you look down the side of the car, I'll turn the light round, I've gone right the way down this side up to the chassis rail. I know the chassis rail is dented, I'm not worried about that because he's so low to the ground it's probably going to get clumped again anyway when I go over things. But I've gone right the way down up to the chassis rail with a wire brush and a grinder, cleaned off any loose flaky bits. I've not taken off everything because obviously this underseal is all still quite rubbery and good, so I'm not going to take it off just for the sake of it. So I took off all the flaky bits. As you can see, I've got rust, what's it called, can't think of the name of it, Nutra Rust. Got Nutra Rust on all the areas that were a little bit surface rusty, so all around the seams and things like that mainly. I've gone right the way down. I've done the wheel arch as well, which I'll show you now. Let me move the light down there and I'll show you what I mean. Hang on a second, getting there. So I've done all underneath the wheel arch as well, as you can see. Cleaned it all up with panel wipe, wire brushed it all, gone over any areas that were light surface rust with the Nutra Rust, and now that is just drying off and that is going to be ready for stone chipping soon, so that'll be good. So I've decided I'm going to stone chip this side first, just so I haven't got to get right underneath this side again. And also I've got the DA out, the sander, and I've sanded all this back, feathered all this up a little bit, and I'm going to start getting a little bit of filler mixed up. Doesn't need a lot, hopefully. There's a little bit down this side, obviously where the plug welds are, and then I just make this line as straight as I can get it here. I've just sanded the edge of this part of the seal back as well, so when my filler was on here I then didn't have to sand right up to the edge of the filler and risk doing the edge of the fillering, because obviously I want this to be a nice crisp line down here. I'm going to go right along this seal with sanding wires eventually. Obviously I just want to concentrate on getting this bit solid for now. So that is where we're at the moment. I'm going to get some filler mixed up, get that on here, and then go from there. Let's crack on. There we go, fillers on. Doesn't look pretty at the moment, I know, but I just wanted to get the basic shape there. And it is starting to go off a little bit, and it doesn't obviously flow and smooth out as easy as what it should do when you first mix it up. So you've only got a little bit of play time to obviously, or pliable time I should say, to get it sort of as flat as you can. So I've left it like that, let that go off, and then we'll give it a bit of a sand up and see what we get. Let's carry on. Okay, while I'm waiting for the other side to dry, I thought I'd turn the car around in the garage. You can see that's the back up there now rather than the front. And this is what we've got on the other side sill. Now this side does look to be original because it's still got the seam there, or as original as it can be. Either that or it's had an outer panel before, but as you can see, it's starting to go. So I'm going to get a grinder on this, clean it all back and see what we're left with, and how far we've got to go in with this one, because as you can see it's not great under there, the looks of it. I'm hoping it hasn't had a panel over a panel. It doesn't look like it has, but we'll find out in a minute. I'll have a little bit of investigation work and I'll come back to you. Do you ever get the feeling of deja vu? Oh no, I thought this side was the good side as well. Well, it appears not. It was better than the last time. Sorry, better than the other side I should say. But it's going to need, looks like exactly the same again as far as panel work. So we need to cut this off to start with, because obviously it's rotten up to there. You can see it, isn't it? It's rotten around here as well. And it had sealer all down here. So someone has been here before just to get it through an MOT. They've just lobbed a load of sealer in the end panel, which isn't ideal. So yeah, I'm going to get these spot welds drilled out from under here, because how it was originally. I think this is an original panel. It fits too nicely for it to be anything over the top. So yeah, I'm going to get these spot welds drilled out, and then we can just slice it across. Doesn't matter where we slice it at the moment, because the repair panel comes up to here anyway, as we know from the other side. So we can cut it across there for the minute. We may not have to go up as high on this side. We may be able to keep it in the black section, which might be handy. So yeah, we'll get that off and go from there. Okay, as you can see there now, I've cut the outer panel off up to a point to reveal the inner seal, or the main part of the seal if you like. As you can see, it's not as rusty as the other side, because the other side was right up to where these holes were, it all gone. So it isn't as bad, but it's still, although I've actually had a hammer on this, as you can see now, look. That end of it is solid, but it is very, very pitted. Obviously this end's gone. So I'm thinking maybe getting those two repair panels again for this side, the inner and the outer. And obviously we're going to have to make a little piece for this end where it's got a hole in it. Get my finger through there, see. I'm basically doing the same repair again on this side, but hopefully not as high up. I mean, the outer panel, we'll probably have to cut it a bit higher than that, because obviously we need to weld the inner panel in on this good steel up here. I'm going to try and keep it below these holes if I can, so that they look, I mean, it doesn't matter, I know, because you won't see it, but if I can keep the original holes so it looks original, I will. And then maybe just come up the sides a bit higher, to obviously sort that out. Yeah, so that's where at the moment. I'm going to have to order some more panels for this, so looks like I'm grinding to a halt at the moment. There we go. Okay, while we're waiting for the panels to arrive for the back on the passenger side, we are going to sort out this front section on the passenger side. As you can see, that's what we have got at the moment. I'm going to buzz this back with a wire wheel and a drill again, and see what we end up with again, because if it's anything like the other side, it's probably going to end up being a lot bigger than what it looks at the moment. So I'll get this cleaned up and I'll come back to you. Well, just as expected, that's what we've ended up with, which is basically the same as the other side. So I'm going to need to get that cut out and make up a repair panel exactly the same. And also on this side, I found another little hole there which I've given a tap with a hammer. This is like an overlap bit of panel, so I'm going to cut that square out, see what's underneath it, weld up what's underneath it, and then put a square back over the top again, I think, so that it's the same as what it was before. So yeah, that's what we're out on that at the moment. So I'm going to start doing that repair panel over here first. I'm going to get the car up a bit higher because I'm not as high as I was when I did the other side, and then go from there. Let's carry on. This is the passenger side front wing area. Now when I very first got this car, I had to rebuild the bottom of the driver's side wing. I actually made a new panel up, this lower panel where you can see I made it from about here downwards. I've since found out you can actually buy repair panels for these for that, but this side is going to need the same thing because that wing is rotten, and it's been lashed over again. Another bodge up by somebody else. It's literally got sealer smeared all the way over the top of this. Thankfully the bit of the sill that it was meeting, which is starting to go rotten, is still solid. So I'm going to clean all this up and get some rust treatment on that as quick as possible, but the bottom of the wing is not looking very healthy at all, so that's going to be another repair we're going to need to sort out before it goes anywhere, because obviously that's not going to be very healthy otherwise. Ah dear, let's carry on. And that is the bottom of that front wing after a bit of wire brushing back with a angle grinder. As you can see, it's mullered, and this was all full of sealer and lumps of sealer that just could be absolutely lobbed up with stuff to make it look pretty, and not done properly. And luckily, as I say, the sill behind does seem solid. It is pitted, but it's solid. So I'm going to have to probably take this wing off eventually, and cut a new piece into the bottom of it, the same as I did on the other side. Either buy a repair panel this time or make my own one again like I did before, and we'll get this sill all cleaned up, buzz back, and get some rust treatment on it, and hopefully that should hopefully make it last a fair amount longer with any luck. But first of all, what we're going to do, as I said, is get this first repair on the floor sorted out, because this is going to be for later on. I just wanted to see what was behind it. So yeah, it looks like I've got a bit more work ahead of me. I thought I was coming towards the end of welding, but no, the car has got other ideas, or rather I should say previous bodged repairs have got other ideas. So there we go, let's carry on. Okay, this is what I've come up with as far as a whole. So I've actually made a panel up for it. It is currently sitting in front of the fire there with a bit of etch primer on the back of it drying. So I'm going to, not etch primer, rather weld through primer I should say. So I'm going to get that dried on in front of the heater there, and then I'm going to get that welded in. It's not going to be look quite as factory looking as the other side, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the main bit of the plate in, and then this little cutout here, I'm going to put that bit back in over the top, so that will create that seam up there, because obviously this is an overlapped panel here, so there is a slight step in it. So I'm going to try and recreate it as best I can. Not that it matters that much, but you know, I like to make it look like it was, you know. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. I'm going to get this bit welded in, and then I'll show you what we've got. Let's carry on. Okay, it's all welded up. Again, probably not the best welding I've ever done in my life, but it's very strong, just like the other side. Should be good for a good few years, I'd say. Ain't going anywhere that, so yeah. Now we're going to carry on and start on this little hole here, and then after this one's done, that is all the underside stuff done. Obviously we've got this wing to sort out, but that's more cosmetic than it is structural. So I'm going to just have a little grind up of this, see what we got, and go from there. Let's carry on. Okay, as you can see, we're inside the car. I've pulled the carpet back because that hole was right underneath the carpet and I didn't fancy setting light to anything. And I'm going to take out this, it's got this kick plate in here which is held in with, looks like 5 or 6 10 mils. I think it's 5, 2 at the top, 3 at the bottom, to obviously get to this hole down here. I could just weld a piece on the outside because it is double skinned, but I'm thinking I might try and put a piece of actual metal back in the actual floor first, and then put the piece back on the outside again so it's back how it should be. So I'm going to get this what would you call it, kick panel, footrest, whatever you want to call it, out, and we'll go from there. Right, in case you ever wondered where the ECU is in a Mk1 Mx5, I've just found it behind that kick plate. So I'm going to have to be careful of that. I'll cover that up. Obviously it's on a bracket, so that will just move up out the way over there somewhere. We're only working down in this corner here, so I think I'm going to have to take this little bracket off, because that's just bolted to the floor there. It's got a couple of bolts in it. Take that bracket off the floor so I can get to this better and carry on. Little discovery there we go, let's go. Okay, as you can see in there, I've got the inner floor bit cut out to a square best I can, and I've got this little plate that I've made up which should fit in there nicely, hopefully. And I can get that welded in first, and then obviously the outer piece can weld on to that. I'm going to get a magnet on that to hold that in place. As you can see, it fits in there really nice. So I'm going to get that bit welded in, and then we can go back underneath and weld the other bit in. Let's carry on. There we go, one hole welded up. I'm quite pleased with that. That's come out actually. I've got quite a nice bead of weld going, man, that, considering that's a manky old floor pan with a new piece of metal in the middle of it. So I may even just leave those welds as they are, because they look fairly neat. I'll put a little bit of sealer back around the side where it had sealer originally, and a little bit in between. You can see there's a seam, hang on, if I point to it, you can see there's a seam there which has opened up slightly, so I'm going to tap that back down and put a little bit of sealer over that again, and then we can get the other piece of floor, which, I mean, I don't have to put the piece in underneath now I've done this, but I'm going to anyway, just so it's there, because that was what was there originally. So I'm going to make up a square for underneath, and we'll get that bit welded in, and then we should be, this repair should be done hopefully. So yeah, well chuffed. Let's carry on. There we go, that's the underside all welded up on that little hole there. So it's got two plates now, one on the inside as you saw, and this one over the outside, which has got a lip there, which is how it should be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wipe a little bit of sealer in there to stop obviously any water getting in. I put some weld through primer on the back of this plate before I welded it on, so hopefully that will stop any corrosion forming, and obviously it will be sealed and stone chipped as well, which means that obviously hopefully no moisture will get in there and get to that. I've also etch primed and, sorry, trying to get bars on the screen, etch primed and sealed that section now as well, so that is all ready to be stone chipped as well. So we are getting there with the welding by the looks of it. Well, I say that, we're getting there with the original bits of welding that I found without adding on any more bits, but we are making progress, so that's good. Let's carry on. Rightio, as you can see, I've moved back round to the passenger side rear corner again, and I haven't got the panels yet, but I have made a start, and I've basically been cutting out all the rust. So as you can see, I've cut along this line here, and I've cut along here, and I've cut underneath the holes to keep them intact, and then back up diagonally to this corner. I've also cut out the corner of the inner arch and the inner arch piece inside there. That not quite as much rusty on this one, still rusty but not as bad, so I've just done the corner on that one. And the inner piece, the curved piece, which is a pressed panel on this side, is still solid and intact. Although it looks a bit scabby, I have cleaned it back and it is good. So I've not got to cut that bit out, so I can just put a piece in there. I'm going to put a new lip down here around the corner underneath and join it up with this lip under here. That will recreate that, which I had to do on the other side as well. So yeah, it's coming along. So I think we're at the stage now where I've got all the rust and rock cut out, but I need to, you can get a better view of it under there. You can see I had to cut a small square out from underneath the bottom there too, because that was gone, or had a hole in it rather I should say. So yeah, I'm going to start making up some new panels and start getting some stuff welded in hopefully now, rather than just cutting it out. Let's crack on. Okay, I've been busy and I've made up a new inner piece here. You can see it comes down the lip, it goes along there all the way along to here, and I've put in the square underneath as well. Hopefully you can see that. So that is now solid, and for the inner arch section in there I have made up a panel which is under here. Hang on a second, I haven't cut this to length yet, but it's going to fit in there something like that. Again, that is a custom made panel. I've welded the seam down the corner there, you can see that in the light. It's welded all the way down that corner inside, and that fits in there nice. So I'm going to get that dressed in a bit more so it's the right shape, and then we can start getting that welded in. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Okay, little progress update for you. The inner arch panel, this section is now in, and that's all plug welded down this lip here. I've got 4 plug welds going down there, and then it is seam welded right the way around and down. So next thing I've got to do is repair this small section of arch there, which should run down here. So I need to make a little square section to go in here, and then once that's on, I can put on the new repair panels which have turned up. Woohoo! So we can get that fitted on there and make it all lovely jubbly. So let's carry on and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, as you can see, I've made up this new inner panel here. That's all welded in now. I've also made up a small triangle piece here so that it brings the inner down to meet the new panel. I did the same this end as well. So they are now both in and done, and also I've cut this line slightly higher so that it just overlaps by about a mil, 2 mil max onto the new panel. And I've cut the slits in the new panel, which is where it tells you to cut it, and I've dressed that into the shape of the original sill inside there. So I'm almost at the stage now. I've got to drill some plug weld holes in this new panel, but I'm almost at the stage where I can get that welded in, and then we will be on to the outer panel. So that's good progress. Let's carry on. Okay, as you can see, I've drilled the plug weld holes on the inner, same as I did on the other side. I'm trying to remember what I did on the other side, but I did do it from the inside, so it's just so that the panel on the outside was nice and smooth and there wasn't too much dressing up to do. Obviously you can just buzz the back and you won't see it. So I've done that, and I'm going to prep this new panel, get all the coating off that comes on it around the areas obviously I need to weld, and then we can start welding it on. Lovely jubbly. Okay, as you can see there now, the inner seal is all welded all round. It's got a nice seam weld going right the way along, all the way along there, down that side, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plug welds which I've done from the back, so it keeps the front nice and neat. I'm going to give that a coat of the weld through primer now, because obviously that's on the inside and I won't be able to get to that. And I've just started marking out where I need to cut this new panel. As you can see, I've got lines on there that I've got to I'm going to cut it out in bits so I don't make sure I don't cut it wrong. And I've got a little triangle shape at that end which is going to kick up to fill in this little gap here. So that is the plan. So I'm going to get some weld through primer on there, start cutting this new outer panel to fit, and then hopefully we can get it welded on. Let's crack on. Okay, as you can see there now, we are now fully primed inside, and I've also primed the inside of the new outer panel, and as you can see there, I have drilled all the new spot welds to go on it as well, and it is cut to shape to fit around that. Now I'm going to have to put a little piece in here because that panel doesn't quite go up high enough, but it's literally a tiny little sliver in that corner, so I'll do that after that panel is on. So it is it's getting there slowly but surely. Hopefully this is going to, well, no, I'm not going to say that because otherwise I'll jinx myself. We're nearly at the end of the welding, that's what I'm going to say. So I'm going to carry on with this and get this outer panel, well, I'm going to let that primer go off a little bit and get this outer panel welded on, and then we can start on the wing up there which needs rebuilding the bottom half of. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, as you can see there now, that is all welded on. We've seam welded it right across the top. We've got plug welds down the side here. I've made up a little small piece to go in here as well to make up that little gap. We've got 2 plug welds here, and we've got a row of plug welds under the bottom there, which you can probably just about see. I've run over it with a DA just to clean all the panel up. I'm pretty pleased with how it's come out, to be honest with you. It's a little bit, I won't say ripply, it's just got, you can feel the weld, that's all. So it's obviously going to need some filler work, which it would have done anyway, to be honest with you, because I'm not that good at welding to make it not need any filler work. But on the whole, I'm pretty pleased with that. So I'm going to get some filler knocked up, get that put on, and then we can then both sides actually will be at the same stage as far as filler work, because I haven't rubbed the other side down yet. You would have seen obviously me put the filler on earlier in this video, but I then turned the car around and concentrated on getting this corner sorted out. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'll get some filler put on I won't time lapse it because obviously you saw it all on the other side, so I'll got that put on, and then we can start getting it all rubbed down. Lovely jubbly. There we go, filler is now on, so I'll let that go off probably overnight now. Got to go work in a minute, so I'll let that do its thing, and then we can start getting it rubbed down when it's all ready to go. I think I have got to put a little bit more on the other side because I think I forgot to do the plug welds under here on the other side when I put the filler on, so I probably will have to put a little bit more on anyway. But yeah, it's come out pretty smooth, so hopefully won't have too much problem getting it into a nice shape, and there won't be too much filler on there once it's rubbed down. It's only a pretty sort of thin skim, just to sort of cover any welding sort of undulations and the plug weld marks, you know. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Lovely jubbly. Right then, that seems as good a place as any to stop for this episode. We've got both sides now pretty much at the same stage. Both the fronts are done, both the rears are done. Rears are both in filler but not rubbed down yet. So we have got that wing to sort out. That's going to be in a future video. And once that's done, then we can get it all stone chipped, primed, painted, and hopefully looking marvellous again. So if you have enjoyed this video, please try and give us a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And if you do like what you see, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button down there. It is free, remember. I have got the Facebook page MEC-TEC, and I have got Instagram MEC_TEC1985 for little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to. So consider having a look at those. It's Christmas in about 8 days time, I think, so I'm going to try and get another video in before then. I think the next Friday is actually Christmas Eve, so there may be something coming up on that particular video that's going to be interesting, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you do want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, make sure you tune in again soon. Cheers guys.